The stars above the alien palace were cold and silent. Far beyond Earth, on the royal planet of Zurelong, everything was made of crystal and light. Inside the royal garden, hidden behind blue glowing trees, stood Princess Soraya. Her heart beat fast. Her hands trembled. She was waiting for someone she was not allowed to love. Then she heard footsteps. Human footsteps. Captain Elias stepped through the shadows. A tall, strong human with soft eyes and a scar on his cheek. He had been sent as a peace ambassador from Earth, but now he came for something more than peace. Soraya looked around quickly. "You should not be here," she whispered. Elias smiled gently. "You called me." She stepped closer. Her alien eyes, glowing silver, looked up into his. "That doesn't make it right," she said. "If my father finds out..." "He'll kill me?" Elias asked. "I know." She didn't answer. Instead, she touched his hand. Her fingers were cool and smooth. They stood in silence for a moment, surrounded by strange, glowing flowers and floating lights. "We are from different worlds," she said softly. "Our blood is not meant to mix." "But our hearts already did," Elias replied. Suddenly, a guard's voice echoed from the distance. They both froze. "Go," she whispered. "Now." Elias hesitated, then turned and disappeared into the shadows. Weeks passed. The princess avoided the palace halls. She stopped attending royal dinners. She kept her head down during council meetings. Her father, the alien king, Lord Drivak, noticed, but said nothing. He thought she was grieving the war losses, but Soraya was hiding something. Late at night, she stood in front of a mirror, holding her stomach. She felt it. Life. A child. Elias's child. Tears ran down her cheeks. She knew what her people would do. Mixed-blood children were considered abominations. The law was clear. Any royal who mixed blood with another species would be stripped of title. Or worse. "I have to leave," she whispered to herself. "For my baby." She packed her things. Just a small bag. One cloak. Some food. A necklace Elias once gave her, a human pendant shaped like Earth's moon. Before sunrise, she slipped out of the palace using the old servant tunnels. Only one person saw her leave, her maid and closest friend, Yira. "You're with child," Yira whispered. In shock, Soraya nodded. "I'm going to the old temple in the mountains. No one goes there anymore, it's safe." Yira didn't speak for a long moment. Then she grabbed a blanket and followed. "You're not going alone." 2 days later, the princess lay on a stone bed in the ruins of the mountain temple. The wind howled outside. Yira boiled water over a small fire. Soraya screamed in pain as she gave birth, her body trembling. Hours later, a small cry filled the air. Yira smiled, holding the baby in her arms. "It's a boy," she said. "He has your eyes. But his hair, it's like the humans." Soraya took the child and held him close. He was warm, soft, and alive. She smiled through her tears. "I will name him Kyle," she whispered. "He will never know hate. Never." Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from a broken pillar. Yira jumped. "What was that?" Soraya's heart sank. A sensor beacon, it activated. Yira looked terrified. "They'll find us." "No," Soraya said, holding her baby tightly. "They'll find him." Far away, in the center of the royal palace, the alien king sat on his throne. A red warning flashed on a screen in front of him. An unauthorized birth alert. He frowned. "Location. Mountain Temple ruins," he muttered. "No one goes there." A young officer ran into the room, sweating. "My king, the alert is from your daughter's DNA signature." Drivak stood up slowly. His eyes glowed like burning fire. "My daughter gave birth?" The officer swallowed hard. "Yes, sire. But there is something strange. The child. It has human DNA. For a second, the whole room went quiet. Then, the king roared in fury. Back at the temple, Soraya looked at the stars through a broken window. Kyle slept peacefully in her arms. She didn't know her father had already declared a secret war order. She didn't know that human ships would soon be hunted. She didn't know her child was now a threat to an entire empire. But she knew one thing. She would protect Kale with her life, even if it meant going against her own blood. Cold winds blew through the broken walls of the ancient mountain temple. Long ago, priests had lived here, but now only silence and forgotten stones remained. It was here, hidden in the shadows of snow and sky, that Princess Soraya fought for her child's life. She was no longer wearing her royal dress. Now she wore a faded travel cloak, her silver hair tied back in a loose braid. Her skin glistened with sweat. Her hands clutched the edge of the stone altar, once used for worship, now her bed of pain. The baby was coming. Beside her, loyal maid Yira worked fast. She wasn't a healer, but she was brave. She boiled water from melted snow and placed warm cloths by Soraya's side. "You must breathe, princess," Yira whispered, kneeling. "Just a little longer." Soraya cried out, gripping her belly. Her teeth clenched. Her breath came fast. "I'm trying, but it hurts on so much." "You are strong," Yira said. "And he is strong too. I can feel it." Hours passed like lifetimes. Then, at last, the child was born. A strange, calm silence fell over the ruined temple. Soraya gasped for breath as she heard the first sound of life. A soft cry, high and clear. Not alien, not human, but something in between. Yira wrapped the child in a dark cloth. She looked down in amazement. "Princess, he has your eyes." Soraya reached out with shaking hands and took the baby. His skin was a soft, pale bronze. His tiny fingers curled as if reaching for the stars. His eyes, like hers, glowed silver in the dim light. But his hair, it was dark, like Elias's. Soraya kissed his forehead. "He's perfect." "What will you name him?" Yira asked gently. "Kyle," Soraya whispered. "It means hope, in both our languages." But as Soraya rocked her child, something in the temple flickered. Yira noticed it first. One of the old stone pillars had cracked, and from the center, a small red light blinked. "What is that?" Yira asked, stepping closer. Soraya's face turned pale. "It's a relic sensor. Old royal tech. My people used it to track bloodlines." "You mean?" "Yes," Soraya said. "It just scanned us, and now it's sending a signal straight to the palace, far above, orbiting the skies of Zurelon." A hidden satellite picked up the signal. It pulsed once, twice, then connected to the royal database. Inside the throne room, King Drivak sat in silence. A holographic screen appeared in front of him. "Royal. Blood detected. Unauthorized birth confirmed. Hybrid signature present." His golden eyes narrowed. "Hybrid? What madness is this?" His hand waved across the controls. A three-dimensional image appeared. It showed Kyle, only seconds old. It showed Soraya's face. The king's heart turned cold. "She betrayed me." A voice came from behind. Him, his war general. "Shall I ready the Crimson Fleet, my king?" Drivak stood slowly, rage building. "Yes. Prepare the fleet, and declare Earth a hostile world." "But the humans," the general began, "are nothing but thieves who stole my daughter," Drivak growled. "They polluted my bloodline. Now I will burn their skies." Back in the mountain temple, Soraya didn't know yet that a storm was coming. She sat on the cold floor, holding Kale to her chest. Snowflakes drifted down from the cracked ceiling. Her child slept peacefully, warm inside her cloak. Yira stood at the doorway, scanning the sky. "What do we do now?" she asked. "They will come." Soraya looked up. Her face was tired but calm. Then we must leave. But where? There's an old human outpost on the edge of the neutral zone, Soraya replied. No one goes there. No one watches. You want to take him there? Ira asked. I have no choice, she said. If he stays, he dies. If we run, we have a chance. She tightened the wrap around Kale. The baby stirred, then snuggled close. Elias will come for us, she whispered. He has to. Ira nodded. Then let's go. Before the sky burns. At that same moment, Elias stood on Earth, staring at a strange transmission on his private comm screen. It was short, distorted, but it was Soraya's voice. Elias. He's here. Our son is born. Please, come find us. Before they do. Elias froze. Then he grabbed his gear, loaded his weapon, and set coordinates for Zurellon. His son needed him, and nothing in the galaxy would stop him now. The IG throne room of Zurellon was made of black glass and glowing crimson veins. It pulsed like a living heart. Silent guards stood in golden armor, motionless as statues. At the center sat King Drivak, ruler of the Zurellon Empire, feared across 10 systems. But today, he was not calm. Today, his hands shook with fury. Hologram floated in front of him. It showed one image, a crying baby, with glowing silver eyes. My grandson, he said bitterly, half human, a disgrace. He waved his hand and the image zoomed out. Soraya, his only daughter, cradled the child. She was smiling, peaceful, happy. That enraged him most. Bring me the council, Drivak growled. The High Council entered. 5. Alien elders with long robes and jeweled foreheads, they bowed low. The traitor princess has broken the royal bloodline, the king said, rising from his throne. And with a human. The eldest counselor blinked. My king, are you certain it is her child? Drivak's voice thundered across the chamber. The royal censors do not lie. He carries her DNA, and the taint of a human. Another counselor stepped forward. Then by law, the punishment is death. Drivak's jaw clenched. No, death is mercy. He turned to the window, staring at the stars beyond. I want Earth to pay. Outside the palace in the war halls, massive warships hummed to life. The king's personal fleet, the Crimson Teeth, had not moved in years. Now, one by one, they awakened. Inside the control center, General Varn received the order. Launch Fleet Protocol Vengeance. He looked at the message and hesitated. This means war, he muttered. But he obeyed. Back inside the throne room, Drivak stared at a small, hidden object in his palm. A human coin. He had found it in Soraya's private quarters weeks ago. She had hidden it inside a book of Earth poetry. He crushed it in his fist. She betrayed her people, her blood, her father. His eyes burned. But she will return to me, in chains, and the hybrid will be erased. Far away, Soraya didn't know that her father had sent assassins. In the dark of space, 5 black ships flew toward the mountain region where her temple once stood. At the same time, on Earth's moon base, Captain Elias arrived. He had traveled for days across secure gates and war zones. Now he stood in front of Earth's high command. Let me go to her, he pleaded. She risked everything for our son. One of the commanders shook his head. You are asking us to cross into restricted alien territory. If we help you, it could start a war. Elias placed a data crystal on the table. The war has already started. Look. They watched the feed from the beacon in the temple. An alien child. A human child, one and the same. Back on Zurellon, King Drivak prepared his speech. He stood before thousands of alien soldiers in the royal court. Citizens of the Empire, he roared. Today, our bloodline is attacked, not with weapons, but with deception. An Earthman has defiled our royal line. Gasps and angry growls echoed through the crowd. But we will not bend. We will not accept pollution. He raised his hand toward the stars. We will erase the infection. We will burn the world that dared steal our princess. Earth shall know the fire of my rage. The crowd erupted in fury. War drums began to beat. Meanwhile, Soraya and Yira walked through the snowy cliffs, carrying Kale wrapped in thick fabric. They hid inside a cave while a storm passed. The child cried softly. Yira lit a small flame. I fear the king knows now, she said. The sky has changed. Soraya nodded. I feel it too. What will you do if he finds us? Soraya looked down at Kale. The baby's glowing eyes stared back with trust. I will stand between him and my child, she said quietly, even if it means my death. That night, Dravak entered his personal chamber alone. He stood before a mirror made of starlight. He saw himself, a king, a ruler, but also a father. His face twisted, his fists clenched. She chose a human over me, he whispered. She turned her back on her people. He slammed his hand into the mirror. It cracked, but still, deep inside, behind all the hate. Something else stirred. Was it guilt? No. He crushed that thought. There would be no mercy. The snowstorm had passed, but danger was only beginning. Inside a narrow cave deep in the mountains, Princess Soraya held her baby close. Kale's small breath warmed her chest. His silver eyes blinked softly in the low firelight. Yira stood at the entrance, watching the sky. They're coming, she whispered. I saw red lights in the clouds, royal hunter ships. Soraya didn't flinch. We must move before they scan this cave. Yira turned. How? We have no transport, no comms, no help. Soraya unwrapped a hidden band from her waist. Inside, it was a small silver disc, ancient and forbidden, a signal beacon. You told me that thing was broken, Yira said. Soraya looked down at her child. It was, but I fixed it. She clicked the disc. A blue light blinked once, twice, then vanished. Far across the galaxy, in a hidden human listening station floating near the edge of Zurellon space, a loud beep woke a sleeping technician. He stared at the screen. The signature was old, royal, and coded. He pressed a button. Get me Captain Elias, now. Meanwhile, high above the snowy cliffs, 5 black ships flew like vultures. Inside them were shadow assassins, trained to silence threats to the royal bloodline. They had one mission: erase the hybrid. Soraya and Yira moved fast through the snow. Yira carried supplies. Soraya held Kale under her cloak, his tiny body pressed to hers. The princess winced. Her body still ached from the birth, but there was no time to rest. We'll reach the cliff tunnel before moonrise, she said. If the tunnel is still open, Yira replied. The ice may have sealed it. Soraya looked up. Then we break through. An hour later, they reached the tunnel. It was blocked. Solid rock and ice had crushed the entrance. There was no way in. Yira dropped her pack in despair. We're trapped. The only way out is through open sky. They'll see us. Soraya stared at the wall of ice. Then, she stepped forward and touched it. Behind her, Kale stirred. A low hum came from her arms. The ice began to crack. Yira gasped. What's happening? Soraya looked down. Kale's tiny hand was glowing faintly. The blue light from the beacon had passed into him. He's activating something. Suddenly, the ice wall shattered. A narrow path opened before them. In the darkness above, one of the hunter ships locked onto the beacon's trail. They're moving underground, said the assassin leader. Deploy trackers. The ship released silver orbs into the sky. They scattered and glowed red, following Kale's energy signature. Back in the tunnel, Soraya and Yira rushed through winding stone paths, dodging sharp rocks and hidden drops. Kale stayed quiet, alert as if sensing the danger. Yira pointed ahead. There, a light. They reached an old outpost door, rusted, half-buried. Soraya pushed hard. It opened with a hiss. They stepped inside a cold metal chamber. This is human tech, Yira said. I told you. Soraya replied. It was once a neutral research station. The humans abandoned it after the border war. She placed Kyle in a warm pod and powered up the console. Sparks flew. Then, a signal lit up the screen. Coordinates locked. Elias will find us, she whispered. Above them, the assassin ships landed. Dark figures stepped out, scanning the snow. They entered. The tunnels spread out. They didn't speak further. These were no normal soldiers, they were silent death. Aboard a human scout vessel, Elias gripped the control wheel tight. She's alive, he said. She found a way to send a signal. The pilot nodded. But it's deep in enemy space. I don't care. That's my son. He loaded his blaster and checked the navcom. If we don't make it in time, he said, Zurellon will never see another day of peace. Back at the outpost, Soraya heard a strange buzzing sound. Yura tensed. They're here. We hold them off, Soraya said, placing Kale inside a storage unit behind a blast door. No matter what. Footsteps echoed down the tunnel. Soraya grabbed an old alien blade from the wall. Yura stood beside her with a torch. The princess took one final look at her child. You will live, she whispered, even if I fall. The door slammed shut. Outside, the first shadow figure entered the chamber. The desert winds blew like whispers of death. Far from the icy mountains of Zurellon, on the dusty edge of neutral space, an old human outpost stood, half buried in red sand. Its metal walls were rusted, its roof cracked. Once a place for scientists, now forgotten by both humans and aliens. This was where Princess Soraya, her baby Kael, and her loyal maid Yura had arrived. Tired, cold, and chased by shadows. Soraya stepped inside, holding Kael tightly. The boy, now a few weeks old, didn't cry. His silver eyes were always watching, silent, alert, as if he understood the danger. Yura closed the broken door behind them. We made it. But for how long? Long enough, Soraya whispered. Long enough for Elias to find us. Inside, the outpost, old human tech flickered weakly. Soraya used her royal blood to power the energy core. Lights blinked on one by one, casting long shadows on the walls. They found a small room, once a laboratory. Soraya laid Kale down inside a decontamination pod lined with soft padding. She kissed his forehead. He's growing fast, Yura said softly. Too fast. He's not fully human, Soraya replied, nor fully alien. He's something new. Outside the planet's orbit, Elias's ship broke into neutral space. Enemy sensors lit up, but he flew low, fast, silent. He had received Soraya's last message, and though the signal was weak, the coordinates were clear. Hang on, he whispered. I'm coming. Back on the dusty world, Yura searched the storage room for supplies. She found dry protein packs, cracked water tanks, and an old human rifle. She brought it to Soraya. Do you know how to use this? Soraya took it, checked the power cell. I trained with Elias. He made me learn. Just in case. She trailed off. Her hand tightened on the rifle. Suddenly Kyle cried out, not from fear but from pain. Soraya rushed to him. His small hands glowed again and sparks flickered in the pod. What is it? Yura asked. I don't know, Soraya said, holding his tiny body close. But he's changing. Kale's eyes opened wide, and for the first time he spoke. Only one word. Father. Soraya gasped. He's never spoken before, Yura whispered. How did he? Soraya's heart pounded. He feels Elias. He knows he's near. In the black sky above the desert, a royal assassin ship hovered. Inside, the hunter scanned the terrain. There. Life signatures. One adult, one hybrid infant, one unknown. The ship descended. Soraya felt it too. They found us, she said. We don't have much time. She picked up Kyle and ran to the back exit of the outpost. Yura grabbed a flare gun and followed. The door creaked open. Sand blew inside. They stepped into the heat. The assassin ship landed with a hiss. A single figure in dark armor walked forward. Silent. Deadly. He raised a tracking device. Kyle's glow lit up the screen. From the sky, a second ship roared in. It was Elias. He landed hard, kicking up waves of dust. As the hatch opened, Soraya turned, eyes wide. "Elias!" He jumped down and ran to them. She fell into his arms. Kyle reached out, giggling for the first time. Elias picked him up and held him close. "My son." But there was no time. The assassin was now only steps away. Yura fired the flare gun. Blinding white light exploded between them. The assassin paused, but not for long. Elias handed Kale back to Soraya. "Get to the ship. I'll hold him." "No," she said. "We." "Stay together!" The assassin charged. Elias and Soraya stood side by side, rifle and alien blade ready. Kale, still in her arms, began to glow bright, brighter than before. The assassin stopped. He lowered his weapon. "What is this?" He whispered. Kale's light became a pulse. It pushed outward like a wave, bending the air. Suddenly the assassin collapsed, his body frozen, not dead, just still. Elias turned to Soraya. "What did he just do?" "I think he protected us." Later that night, inside the ship, Soraya fed Kale while Elias watched. "He's more than just our child," she said. "He's a bridge between two worlds." Elias nodded. "And now both worlds want him gone." She looked up. "Then we protect him together." Yura smiled, wrapping a blanket around herself. "And we don't stop running until this galaxy learns to accept what he is." Kyle giggled again, reaching up toward the stars. The stars of Earth's night sky twinkled like jewels. Until they began to vanish, one by one. But they weren't vanishing. They were being blocked. By ships, hundreds of them. Massive alien warships, shaped like knives and black wings, slowly filled the sky above Earth's outer colonies. They came without sound, without warning, and without mercy. The Zurellan Empire had begun its invasion. In the command tower of Earth's defense network, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across the panels. Unidentified fleet entering from Rift Gate 9. Size? The Earth. General barked. Large enough to wipe out a continent. The general stared at the growing signal. "It's him, the alien king. He's come for the child." On the dusty desert planet far from the front lines, Soraya felt it. A sharp, cold pulse moved through her chest like ice. She stood up quickly, holding Kale in her arms. "They're attacking Earth," she whispered. "He's making good on his threat." Elias, busy repairing the ship's shields, froze. "We need to go now. If Earth falls, we'll be next." "But where do we run to?" Yura asked, stepping out from the shadows. "We don't run," Elias said. "We rise." Above Earth, a massive hologram appeared in the sky. It was King Dravak. His voice echoed across Earth cities, shaking buildings and hearts. "People of Earth, return the hybrid child to me, or face destruction. This is your only warning." In the safety of their ship, Kale stared at the screen. He did not cry. He did not blink. He simply said, "Grandfather." Soraya gasped. He recognized him. Through the signal. Elias looked at Kale. "What do we do now?" Kale reached out and touched the ship's console, and something impossible happened. The entire system lit up, brighter, faster, stronger. Power surged through the core. Yura stumbled back. "What is he doing?" Soraya stepped forward. "He's not afraid anymore. He wants us to fight back." Back in Zurellon's royal war chamber, a general approached King Dravak. "My lord, the child has accessed old tech. Human systems are responding faster than expected." Dravak narrowed his glowing eyes. "Then I will lead the next strike myself." He stepped onto the command deck of the largest warship. The Wrath of Kings. It looked like a city in space, built from metal and flame. Drivak raised one hand. Prepare the star cannon. Elias's ship broke out of orbit. He flew fast, dodging debris and passing by civilian escape ships. Earth's lines are breaking, he said. We need to get to the command fleet and deliver a message. Soraya looked at him. What message? He smiled. That peace isn't dead. It's just learning to speak. He turned to Kyle. Or learning to cry. Kyle giggled softly, then held up his small hands again. Suddenly, a wave of light exploded from him. The enemy ships in their path flickered, then shut down. No destruction. Just silence. Yura gasped. He stopped their systems. With just light? He's not a weapon, Soraya said. He's a voice. Back on Earth, the general received the new scan. Sir, a child just disabled 3 enemy destroyers. Everyone froze. Child? No, sir, the officer whispered. The child. The human leaders opened a direct channel. Captain Elias, what do you suggest? Elias's face appeared. Behind him stood Soraya and Kyle. I say we stop running. Let us face the king together. Give us a ship. One meeting. One chance. The council was silent. Then the commander nodded. Go. Earth will buy you time. Hours later, near the neutral station of Verdun 6, 2 ships met. One held Elias, Soraya, and Kale. The other, the alien king. The chamber was cold and silver. Guards lined the walls ready for war, but in the center the child stood alone. Small, silent, glowing. Drivak stepped forward, his long cloak dragging behind him. He looked down at Kyle. His eyes were full of rage, until Kyle walked up to him and reached out. Tiny fingers touched the king's massive clawed hand. And then, the invasion stopped. Drivak's body shook. His eyes glowed brighter, then dimmed. Memories filled his mind, not his own, but Kale's. He saw Soraya smiling. He saw Elias holding the baby. He saw no hate, only warmth. The king fell to his knees. He showed me, Drivak whispered. The child does not bring weakness. He brings balance. Silence. After weeks of war, after cities trembled and fleets darkened the stars, now there was only silence. In the center of the neutral station Verdun 6, 2 powerful worlds faced each other, one led by humans, the other by the feared alien king, Drivak. And between them stood a child, Kyle, tiny, glowing, calm. His silver eyes looked at both sides, not with fear, but with something deeper, something that made even hardened soldiers lower their weapons, hope. King Drivak knelt on one knee, his armored hand still touched by Kale's fingers. Memories of Soraya's smile and Elias's kindness still echoed in his mind, but so did the screams of war, the cries of loyalty, and the shame of betrayal. He looked up slowly. Why did you show me peace instead of fear? He whispered to Kyle. The boy tilted his head and softly said, Because I'm both. Like her and like him. He pointed to Soraya and Elias. Drivak's throat tightened. He stood and turned to his army behind him. All of you were told the child was a threat, he roared. But I have looked into his mind. I have seen. He holds no hatred. He turned back to Elias. But if you raise him on Earth, under human control, will that peace remain? Elias stepped forward. He's not just mine. He's yours too. Let us raise him together, with both truths, both bloodlines. Soraya stood by Elias's side, holding Kale's hand. We can build something new, she said. Not empire, not war, balance. The generals from both sides murmured. Some alien captains shook their heads. He's still an abomination. But others, older warriors, those who had seen too much war, nodded slowly. He made the king kneel. With a touch, one said. That's not weakness. High above the station, Earth Command received the transmission. A human general stood from his chair. Is this a trick? The ambassador shook his head. No, I think it's real. The general sighed. Then we do something unheard of. He picked up the comm and gave the order. Stand down. We choose peace. Later that evening, in a quiet garden built between the two ships, Soraya sat under a glowing tree with Kale on her lap. Drivak walked slowly toward her. No guards, no armor, only a father. And now, a grandfather. He looks like you, he said quietly. Soraya smiled. He laughs like Elias. Drivak didn't smile back, but his voice softened. I was wrong. I thought love was weakness. But now I see. It's the only thing strong enough to stop war. Kale looked up at him. Are you still angry? Drivak paused, then gently touched the child's hair. No. I am proud. In the following weeks, something incredible happened. The first joint council between humans and Zurellan was formed. Kyle became a symbol, not of danger, but of unity. They didn't call him Prince. They called him the First Bridge. Yira stayed, close, watching over him like a second mother. Elias trained him with human tools. Soraya taught him alien wisdom. And Drivak? He taught him how to command without fear. Years later, when Kale stood before the galaxy as a young leader, he gave his first speech. His voice was soft but powerful. I was born from war, he said, but raised by both sides. You called me a weapon, then a threat, then a symbol. But I am not a symbol. I am proof that even the deepest hatred can end with a child's hand. The crowd stood in silence. And then, applause. From every species, every voice, every home. Final scene. One night, years later, Kale sat on a hill outside a human colony. Soraya sat, beside him, older but still graceful. Elias stood behind them, smiling. Kyle looked at the stars. I wonder, he said, how many others like me will be born now? Soraya held his hand. As many as the stars above. And will they be afraid? Kale asked. Elias answered, not if you lead them. Behind them, Drivak stepped out from the shadows, cloaked in silence. You are not just the child of peace, he said. You are peace. With a voice. And so, in a galaxy once broken by war and fear, the future was carried not by soldiers or kings, but by the heart of one small child.